On February 22, 1981, one of the most historic and unforgettable events in the history of the Pacific Islands took place, when Pope John Paul II arrived on Guam and kissed the ground in thanksgiving. For 2 days, the Holy Father generously imparted his pontifical blessing on this tiny island, affirming to the world that what the Catholic population on Guam lacked in numbers, they more than made up for in piety and in fervor. For 3.5 centuries, the Catholic Church on Guam has withstood many challenging years of struggle and change. Yet it continues to prevail as a testament of faith, a refuge for the weary, a stronghold for the powerless, and a wellspring of joy for those seeking the face of God.
Christ came to evangelize people within their culture, people within their nation. And it is a challenge of every nation and of every people and every culture to see how the gospel can continue to speak to them even if their lives are changing.
As a place of worship, the Dulce Nombre de Maria has been the heart of all Catholic churches on Guam and the Marianas for the last 340 years. To the Chamorros, it has always been their principal church, Principat Nagumozuos, established by no less than a venerated martyr of the faith, Blessed Diego Luis de San Vitores, in the year 1669. The explorer Ferdinand Magellan first chanced upon Guam in 1521. 44 years later, it was formally claimed by Conquistador Miguel López de Legazpi for the Spanish crown. Guam and its outlying islands served as little more than a supply station for galleons plying the Manila-Acapulco trading route. But in the summer of 1662, the history of the islands changed dramatically when a Jesuit priest, Diego Luis de San Vitores, made a stopover in Guam while on his way to the Philippines.
He had a childhood dream, 12 years old, and he envisioned himself on the island of Guam. So when he stopped here on the way to the Philippines, this reawakened that memory.
Aflame with missionary zeal, Padre Diego sailed on to the Philippines, where he relentlessly sought support for the Spanish crown. One of his early victories was securing the endorsement of the Archbishop of Manila. From its conception, the history of the church in Guam had always been connected from the church in the Philippines. It was in the Philippines where Padre Diego raised funds and built a ship for his missionary voyage. He also brought with him Filipino lay volunteers to serve as catechists. One of them, a 17-year-old Cebuano named Pedro Calungsod.
The Catholic Chamorros, we have been Christianized really by the Spanish priests, all right? The missionaries, Blessed Diego is one of them, Blessed Pedro Calungsod, we call them our fathers in faith.
So close were these ties that at a certain point from 1859 to 1907, the entire Marianas mission was placed under the Diocese of Cebu, highlighting an unbroken spiritual, cultural, and political relationship that now spans over 3 centuries. Finally, on June 15th, 1668, Padre Diego and his team anchored off the western coast of Guam, near Hagåtña, where he celebrated his first Mass 2 days later.
He actually practiced in the Philippines, and perhaps with some divine help, if the stories that we hear are true. He came on the ship and going into the shore, speaking Chamorro and preaching in Chamorro. That's the kind of effort that the church has made to respect the local culture, and that's back from 1668.
Padre Diego also took away the island's unflattering title, Las Islas de Ladrones, and renamed them Las Islas Marianas in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the Queen of Spain, Mariana de Austria. Vital to the success of Padre Diego's mission was the support of the highest nobleman of the village, in this case, a chieftain named Kapua. Today, Chief Kapua is remembered as the first Catholic Magalahi and benevolent donor of the land where the first church was built. Dedicated on February 2nd, 1669, Padre Diego named his church Dulce Nombre de Maria, the sweet name of Mary. Padre Diego observed that certain qualities of Chamorro culture made it easy for the natives to accept the new religion. Their lifestyle was simple, free of vice, and revolved around the value of fraternal charity.
Yes, well, it's a value called an alphamalic, and it's usually translated as harmony. Literally, it's to make it good for one another. And in a sense, that was an easy transfer to Christianity, because do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There was a value that they already had.
However, not all Chamorro leaders were attracted to the new religion. Within 2 years, the missionaries became caught up in cultural clashes and political hostilities, causing many Chamorros to resist conversion. While Padre Diego tried to carry out his mission in a peaceful manner, his military counterparts attended to theirs with ruthless suppression.
Once the soldiers took over the mission, their attitude was very different. Theirs was no longer, the priests were concerned about conversion and the soldiers were concerned about subjugation.
Finally, on April 2nd, 1672, in the seaside village of Tomon, Padre Diego Luis de San Vitores and his young Filipino catechist, Pedro Calungsod, were killed by the native chieftain Matapang. After, the priest baptized Matapang's newborn daughter, apparently without his consent. Pierced by a lance, Padre Diego's last words were said to be, "Si Zus maasi, may God have mercy on you." Watered by the blood of martyrs, Padre Diego's mission in Guam survived and flourished, and the fruit of his labors are enjoyed by all Catholic Chamorros today. On October 6, 1985, Padre Diego Luis de San Vitores, first apostle to the Marianas, was beatified at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, while young Pedro Calungsod received the same honor on March 15, 2000. Guam's first saints in the making.